All right, everybody, welcome out to another episode of Windshield Time at Mountainland Supply. I'm here with Morgan Walker Evans, Esquire, the third.
Again.
Spencer W. Shorts, Esquire.
The fourth.
The fourth. And Bert Bradford. What's your middle name, Bert?
Bert D. Bradford the second.
D as in D-E-E? Or D? Just
The
D?
initial D.
Really?
Yeah. And officially the second. It's on my driver's license.
And there was no first?
Yeah, my grandpa.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So, Bert D. That actually goes pretty hard.
Actually, my birth certificate has an addendum on it because I was named Bert D. Bradford Jr., and when they went to give me a baby blessing and say my name, somebody, bishop or somebody, caught it and said, hey, you can't be a junior unless you're after your dad. It can't skip a generation and still be a junior.
Really?
It needs to be the second. And so they blessed me as Bert D. Bradford the second, and then my mom took my birth certificate back and
had it revised.
An
addendum.
So it's like
So you have two? Do you have two? Oh,
it's an official birth certificate and then one little one
Well, why would
stapled
you
to it to
think it
change my
wouldn't be
name.
the first?
I don't know. Because his dad's name is not Bert.
All right.
That's
Right.
now okay. Now everybody knows why it's the second.
Well,
Makes
we'll
sense instead of
get
a
into
junior.
that too. We'll get into Randall. Morgan, would you like to introduce our guest?
Well, I can. I made a mistake the other day. I thought I was good for at least a year before I'd have to do another podcast. But I got home and Joey sent me the podcast and he's like, "Oops, I was supposed to go to Bert Bradford," and I was like,
because everybody wanted to watch you and all your podcast.
yeah.
greatness.
But then Bing went into my brain and I was like, oh my heck, I didn't even bring Bert up. So I sent Joey a thing saying, well, I sent him a text and it went.
Are you going to read it in Morganese, or are you going to read it like you meant to send it?
I really haven't reread it, so I know I'm the worst texter in the world. But I said if I could redo my interview, I would have said the very first company, RB Construction, was doing small Forest Service work, and Bert Bradford started to take over for his dad. And Bert helped me become who I am today as a salesman. And it was Bert that stuck with me and gave me all his work so I could succeed. And then I said, I'm mad and sad because I didn't say anything about Bert on the first podcast, and yada, yada, yada. It went on for a little bit more. But
So in efforts to have historical correctness, you're back.
So Joey was like, oh,
Let's do it tomorrow.
Come back in. And I'm like, oh, crap, I shouldn't have said a thing. But I guess he was already in kind of cahoots with Bert.
Well, we had talked about it because Bert and I met a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about, he didn't know that we did podcasts. Yeah. And I was telling him that, kind of what they're about. And I said, kind of cool if you came on as a customer. And little did he know I was going to hold him to that.
No, yeah, I thought that was a joke.
Yeah. But for me, it was very, coming from a business standpoint and stuff like that, people are always like, what's important and what's not. And when we first started with each other, I was Mike Edwards' inside guy, and Bert wasn't doing that much.
With us,
as far as money-wise went, the jobs that he got himself into were not easy by no means. But when they put me into outside sales, they're like, you're going to do municipalities only. And I said, can I take Bert's account with me?
I remember that.
And they're like, sure, what? He's not doing that much, so sure, type deal. And
Famous last words.
And then it was matchstick fire, and
boom.
The more I get to know Bert Bradford, that is who he is. He doesn't do anything.
He doesn't go half-hearted into anything, huh?
Half-hearted, I was going to go half-assed. But guy he went from 0 to 90. And when you get to know Bert a little bit more, it's not just at this. It's everything he touches or does in life. But I got the first ride and experience with Bert from Mountainland, and I've considered him a friend ever since. And so anyway,
thanks, Morgan.
That was nice, wasn't it?
Really, what I'm getting out of that is I should be getting a residual commission from
100%.
The top salesman of the company.
100%. Some sort of fee.
Yes.
I agree.
Sponsored by Mountain Dew.
So maybe talk about that kind of how you grew up with your dad's company, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So Bert Bradford II, Bert Bradford the first was a contractor.
Yeah.
Built houses for Mitchell Homes, who did tons of houses back in the 60s and 70s. He had his own...
Mostly in Utah County?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He had his own little crew. They'd do about 12 houses a year, but they did like almost all of the work themselves. My dad is the youngest in his family, and so when my grandpa retired, my dad was only 19 years old.
Oh, geez.
And my dad had grown up, working with him. And so my dad was all of a sudden without a job when my grandpa retired.
What was the name of your grandpa's company? Like Bradford Construction or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get
because there's no R there.
Yeah, he had his contractor's license, but I think he exclusively worked for Mitchell Homes. So
it's like a subcontractor.
It was almost more like a subcontractor, but he operated like a general contractor. Like they'd take the house from start to finish.
Okay.
Anyway, so when my grandpa retires, my dad's basically he had a van full of tools. That was it. And my dad bought that from him at 19 years old. And
so no equipment?
No,
really?
That comes later. So my dad buys those tools from him and goes and basically starts finishing basements and whatever, and then gets his license later after he, back then you just...
Oh, yeah. Well, handyman, too. I mean, you can do whatever. Yeah.
Yep. He just... which
and he
is
had a
impressive,
good reputation, too.
Which is impressive. At 19 years old, so
Wild.
literally he never had a job, for somebody else.
Yeah.
And so he started... RB Construction didn't become incorporated until 1988, but my dad went on his own in 72 or 73.
Wow. So 16 years before he started officially as RB Construction.
Yeah, got incorporated and started RB Construction. It's called RB Construction and Concrete because when he went to get licensed at the state, there was already an RB Construction. So on the spot, he just added and concrete.
That is a random move right there, dude. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and so he did a lot of concrete. He built houses, but then doing his own concrete, he started bidding commercial concrete type projects.
Yeah.
And when I grew up, we did a lot of concrete. And through doing the concrete, my dad bought a little bulldozer and a backhoe because he didn't like the excavators doing the final prep for the concrete. Back then, you bought all your own concrete and a half an inch deep.
Cost you money.
Took the profit out of the job.
Yeah.
So he bought a 1983 D3 bulldozer that I still have. That's kind of it's at the entrance gate to our shop. It's
that's awesome.
Yard ornament.
That's the original.
That's the OG.
So cool.
Yep. And then the next thing he bought was a 580B, Case 580B backhoe.
Yeah.
And he had those two things when I was growing up. And then as I got into my early 20s, I kind of had my own crew and would do my own jobs and stuff. And then maybe mid-20s, I started bidding projects. And when I started bidding projects, it just kind of hit me one day I don't have to just bid concrete projects. Why don't I bid? I like running the equipment.
Yeah.
So I went to him and said, hey, I want to bid some pipe work and, maybe get a track hose, kind of do more of that kind of stuff. And he said, well, I don't know how to do it. I'm too old to learn something new, but if you want to try that, go ahead. I'm like, okay.
And that is you in a nutshell, too.
So I did.
Yeah.
So how I learned to do waterline is I bid a job, got it, hired a guy who
knew how to do it,
do waterline his whole life, and just went and did the job. And it's not rocket science. So within a few weeks, I'm like, oh.
That is funny. And that's kind of like Mountainland kind of does that too. We didn't know what geotextiles really were. So, you go find a guy like Quinn Brown, and then an expert in it, helps you develop it out, and then you build it around that person, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, super cool. So then, so I kind of started, that's how we kind of got into more of excavation stuff. And then
you had to buy equipment more and more just to keep up with jobs, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And our growth really came from, I guess, necessity of when there was kind of the downturn in the 08, 09, all that kind of stuff. We were traveling a lot just to whatever work we could find wherever. And even before that, like we were kind of a smaller 7, 8, 9 guys, whatever, and we would just bid, like Morgan was saying, kind of unique jobs. We do a lot for the Forest Service, government stuff, but it's all over the whole state.
Was it unique because you didn't have as much competition that was bidding it? Like, what drew you to those things?
Yeah, that was less competition, like funner.
Yeah, more interesting.
Yeah, more interesting. Wasn't just the same old, kind of thing. So we were doing more of that. But then as I got married, started having kids, now I'm out of town. I mean, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, didn't want to do that.
Yeah. One day, I was talking to my wife, and she's like, "Do you realize that our oldest daughter, Sarah, you have not made it to a single Halloween with her?" She was like 12, which Halloween's always in the middle of the week.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, no, that kind of hit me.
Oh, I bet.
And I was missing birthday parties and just if it wasn't on a weekend.
Yeah.
You
weren't there.
I'm 5 hours away. We worked.
How many people was in your company at that point?
6 or 7.
Okay.
Not a
So
lot.
like one crew, just cruising around and doing
work. Yeah, really just one crew.
Yeah.
My dad's older brothers, when they retired, they had other careers. When they retired, they kind of became superintendents. So we would general some jobs like a school addition or something like that, and they would go be superintendents. But me and a
dedicated to you, it was that crew.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting.
And then I did a lot of projects for Westland at the time, and Westland was involved with Arrive Homes in the beginning of Arrive Homes. And when they just very first started, they were just, like, they hadn't even had any of their own subdivisions or projects yet. They were kind of like buying single lots here and there.
Yeah.
And they kind of approached us and said, "Hey, would you want to come be an excavator for us?" And I was like, I don't know. I'm doing commercial and forest. Like in my mind, mistakenly, residential was like a step down from what I was doing.
Sure, yeah. Well, because again, it's not ultra creative.
Yep.
It's not a hard discipline.
Well, it seemed like when you watch contractors in whatever space, it seemed like they would do residential. It was just easier to get into, and then you would jump to commercial.
Yeah,
and it was just a misconception.
Misunderstanding. Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know. And then they said, "Well, just so you know, we plan to never leave Utah County, and specifically South Utah County." And I mean, it just
Click.
popped in my head like, okay,
Well, that's what Jenny
I've missed
wants.
12 Halloweens in a row. Okay, I'll try this. And they grew fast, and we had to kind of grow to keep up with them. So, and my dad at the time was I became a 50-50 partner when I was 30. So 07, it was like right at the peak.
Yeah.
My dad's like, "Hey, you've worked long enough. I think I'm just gave me 50% of the company."
Yeah.
Which I'd never had another job. I'd worked since I was
Could
junior
work.
high.
Yeah.
And then the next year, the economy implodes, and
all
we
hell
start
broke
borrowing
loose.
money to try and stay afloat. I'm like, "Oh, thanks, Dad. Appreciate that. Appreciate that."
How's that RV treating you?
That was nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was a 50-50 partner from then on, but I was really kind of directing the decision stuff, which is how my dad wanted it. He was kind of like, he was cool that way. It wasn't like he just kind of stepped out of the way, but he would help with anything that.
So it never really felt like a burden for you.
No.
It was just, I'm naturally good at this. You're naturally good at that. Just go where you're good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. He was quite the mentor in his own way. I learned a lot from him, but not through words as much. Just more.
Randall's a
action
good dude,
stuff.
man.
He's awesome.
He is so cool.
But again,
he is awesome.
like he says, he starts a match on that. But if we really want to dig into who Bert is, type deal, there's tons of layers to this guy. Take a look at that face. And
I'm like an onion. Yeah, let's peel him back. I
And
hate
think-
onions, by the way. Let's get that in there.
does this guy have any artistic value to him? Look at him. No, he doesn't.
But he
But-
can paint like no tomorrow.
Legit, artistic.
Yeah.
One of the first gifts I've ever received in this business was a picture of some cows out in the field. I think my daughter just sent it to him the other day, just saying it hangs proudly downstairs in
the
our
family
TV
room. Yeah, it's beautiful.
But that was a special piece because it was something that he loved and he gave it to me.
Yeah.
But I went to him a couple years back and I said, I know you don't do this, but would you do a piece for me and my dad?
Yeah.
And he's like, sure, give me what you're thinking. And so I went and got a picture. I took a picture of my dad down on the ditch bank out in Lake Shore. Corn's tasseled up 6 feet tall, green, just beautiful.
I was probably somewhere in that
And
field stealing some of it.
And my dad was sitting in front of we do everything cheap farmers. We're dirt ditches. We still have
Flood irrigation.
Flood irrigation, canal gaps. And my dad was sitting down with his shovel, and he was looking on his phone, and I snapped a picture. And I just thought it was pretty
Just
cool.
a candid shot.
So I sent it to Bert, and I'm like, hey, will you take and do your thing to this? Can you see it?
Yeah, just hold it up the camera.
I shake, so I don't know how Is that good?
We can probably impose it over the.
Yeah, you could just send me the file. And
We'll add it.
overlay it over the video.
He'll put it in in the editing.
But just that picture alone, like it, again, just takes it to a whole other level of who Bert is for me. Not only helped me succeed at this business, but kind of been personal.
Not kind of. It has been personal. But
That's why I don't cry. So.
Another quick layer to that story actually is Morgan's dad, Jay, was my dad's banker.
Oh, yeah.
And this is how my dad taught me. He wouldn't say any. He'd just say, "Hey, get in the truck." All right. Then we drove down to the bank, and I watched him walk in and tell Jay he needed some money. Like I didn't even know I was in school.
Yeah, but you were
learning. But that's how my first interaction with any type of real banking experience was with Morgan's dad.
That is so freaking
So
cool.
it was actually
Back
fun
then,
to get a
banks
painted
could
picture.
deal with people because they know who the person was. Now I think it's a little.
I mean, they
harder.
still can, depending on the bank. But,
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, it is a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But it's still relationships.
Yeah.
You know, even our banking relationship is a relationship beyond the numbers. You know,
Yeah.
they want to know where your business is going so that they can help you make smart decisions for the business.
Yep.
Well, we were talking a little bit before this episode started again, because Bert doesn't do anything half-assed. Look at the face. Tell me.
I don't know why he's saying look at the face.
I don't either.
Because he does not look like somebody that rides motorcycles, and not only rides
Is it the
them,
watch?
is
Fiercely
bring up
competitive.
the watches later, but
Fiercely competitive.
fiercely competitive. So he was getting into some of his riding experiences and stuff like that, and one of them was his venture down to Chile, and we were talking about quitting. When is it too hard? When's enough? What pushes you? Can you get through hard times? And he shared that story, and I don't know if it's
You want to reshare it? I know we've heard it.
I know,
again, but
it's
you
kinda-
can put some.
yeah,
You can put some artistic liberty into it, make it even better. So you're racing endurocross, just across the world, really.
like you're a champ, right? You're number one in some aspects of riding.
Sure.
Anyway, he wouldn't ride if he was second place. Just saying.
True.
He had to be first place.
I was just talking about how we can push our bodies past what we actually think that we can, which it takes mental strength, which is super hard. But the riding motorcycles taught me that. Like, you just taught me that there's always a little bit extra that we can give, but you can apply that to any aspect in life.
Yeah.
When you think, in fact, it's like this with trials. You think, well, this must be over because I'm at my absolute breaking point limit. There's no way I can go any further. And then the next day it gets just a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Like, we can always go.
You can always go a little bit more.
Yeah. You can always give more effort. You can always try harder, whatever it is. We can always withstand more, whatever it is. Trial,
It probably felt that
tribulation,
way like
stress.
during 07, 08.
Oh, for sure.
Like, oh man, I just got half this company, and now I gotta
Yeah.
that hasn't had to do financing and stuff like that before. Now I got to go and talk to banks and try and help float this thing so that I can not send these guys home without a paycheck.
Yep. I don't know if this is like this for everyone. I feel like maybe even the number one contributing factor to any success that I've had would be resilience to stress, or like your ability to manage stress.
Yeah.
And it's just like a muscle. I look at stuff that happens to me now and it's like not that big of a deal. And I think, man, if this would have happened 10 years ago, I'd be full fetal position. I'd have been done.
Yeah.
But so as you practice that, it becomes like a muscle and gets stronger. But I think in business, your resilience to stress and I guess just trial and sticking to something is
that's life, right? I mean,
that is all of life.
And you don't learn much from successes. You learn way more and you grow way more when you have a failure or a setback, I guess.
100%.
Well, some people can't handle stress like this guy here.
Whatever, dude.
Well,
you don't become the top salesman of a company without being able to deal with stress.
But not too long ago, Bert hit me up and we were looking at getting a place down in Spanish Fork. And he's like, hey, why don't you come in with me on a building down there? Hey, that costs way too much. I can't do it.
Sounds scary.
It sounds scary. It is scary. And this guy chickened out.
Well, and risk and stress are both very closely related.
Yeah.
You know, when you take on risk, that adds stress.
But I always ask him, like, how do you dare to go do that next level thing? Like, it's unique. It's built into the person. I don't.
Is it because you can see the plan to get through it? Or you just trust in your plan? Because nobody just jumps right in without.
I don't know. Sometimes I just jump right in.
You know? Or do you just have that much confidence in yourself? You're like, I'll figure it out.
It's getting a little bit that way now, but it's not confidence in myself. It's confidence in things almost always tend to work out.
Because you've just been through so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not always like work out the way you think it's going to, or work out like really easily and like
or lucratively.
Lucratively, but things always work out. One of our sayings at work is I think I learned this from my mom. She used to do our books a long time ago, and she would say, "Well, looks like we live to die another day." we'd get to 5 o'clock and
made it through another one.
Yeah, live to die another day. So that's kind of become my little motto when stuff is like, holy crap, how are we going to get through this? This is really hard. We'll live to die another day.
So your mom ran the books for your dad back in the day for a long time, or what?
Yeah, not in the beginning. We were over in Orem. We had an office, and one of my dad's brothers ran the books, and then they kind of, I don't know, I guess grew apart, or he went in a different direction. Then my mom stepped in and did the books for, it was like 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So most of the people who are listening to this, and they're almost all employees of Mountainland, they're listening to it.
Cool.
But why would a company like yours choose to do business with Morgan and Mountainland, or Mike Edwards and Mountainland? You know, why?
Mountainland's actually a unique supplier to me. It's a lot of the other places where we get materials and stuff, we have to get, I guess, quotes from 3 or 4 different ones.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to like go with whoever's the lowest price.
Right.
I've never purposely bid out Mountainland. Some projects, when you bid them, like you're on a bidder's list, and some of your
people send it to you.
So
Yep.
I would see other people's prices, but I don't even have accounts at other places. That's probably like almost all in part to Morgan.
To Morg.
Yeah. Mike Edwards was my dad's salesman before
Yeah.
I even knew, like when I was too young to even know that you had salesmen and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And but I think that was just, they grew up
Same town.
and
Yep.
knew each other well and stuff. So it's all relationship based, but it's unique that the Mountainland like cultivates those relationships, and like you know that I know that my relationship here actually means something to you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys do it. It's different than there. Everybody has a salesman. They want to take you to lunch and wine and dine you and all that kind of stuff. But there's something different here where it's like it's not just that.
Yeah.
Like there's been times, 7 or 8 times, Morgan has come, unlocked this place, unlocked the store in Spanish Fork, come and open that gate at 11 o'clock at night, used a flashlight and walked through the warehouse and found me something, whatever we needed it the next day, whatever it was. Like nobody does that kind of stuff.
There's so a few years ago we went through a process of kind of identifying, those types of things, like what sets us apart, and then it helped us build out our core values, and then we found through that process, like, what do we really believe in? One of the things was that we believe in making our customers' business better, and I think that's kind of, and really we went through it and said, who are our best people? Who are the people who exemplify everything that is special to us? And Morgan was one of them. When we went through this process, we're like, Morgan's one of those guys, So what is it about him that makes us special, Because a company is really just a conglomeration of the people that work at it, right? Yeah. And the things they believe in. And so we're like, Morgan will go above and beyond for anybody. And Morgan's not the only one, but this is in this specific instance, we were just talking about that. Well, why? Well, because he'll do anything to make sure that his customer's business is successful.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's those things.
But I see it opposite, right? I see Bert being the guy.
But that
would go out of his way first. Like, I wouldn't be successful if it wasn't for him being successful and daring to take the risks and do all that he does.
Yep.
And so,
but I think that's
I see it opposite. And then to see somebody do that for me, it just
drives you to be better.
True friendships. I think it's real. I don't sell to Bert right now.
Well, I
think
think
he's still one of my favorite people.
Well, I think that's the next level of the culture, though. So our culture starts as, we'll do anything to make sure that you're successful. And then at the same time, you feel that too, and you'll do the same thing for us, because it is a true partnership.
Yeah.
And I think when you do that enough times over enough people, you bring enough people into that relationship, then your company culture takes off and it has a life of its own. And for people who are just starting at Mountainland, I just want them to know that, like, that is what makes us special.
Yeah.
Is that, we'll lose money on some stuff every once in a while, but we will never sacrifice a relationship for money,
It's super cool. I don't know that I would have, I don't know if I want to say trust, but in another company to not quote them out at least every once in a while.
Yeah.
Because it's just like almost human natural tendency to let the prices creep up a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
I have no doubt that Morgan Braden's my salesman now. I have no doubt that they give me the very best price that they can.
Yep.
And I understand that you could need to make money too. I don't want to
you don't want us to fail.
No.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to make a fair profit, but that's what it is with Mountainland, is it's fair. I know I'm never going to get gouged. There's always, you're going to stand behind anything that you sell me.
Yeah.
There's just
even if it's a freaking boiler.
Yeah.
On a brand
Why
new,
did you
beautiful
go
home.
there? Oh boy.
Yeah, it's the elephant in the room.
Yeah, it is.
No, I don't know. I didn't know this was going to be the brag on Burt hour. I thought it was brag on Morgan, because he is the top salesman, and
it's a brag on everything, man.
Yeah.
It's fun to be able to. And I always struggle even saying that you're doing business with each other. It's fun to be able to make a living with one another.
Yeah.
And that includes all of us, customers, employees, everybody.
Yeah, but this happened quite a while ago. Like I'm just saying, because it is employees watching this, the guys that are on the counter, you're going to become friends with somebody that isn't somebody at the time, and truly create those relationships. And you might get one that is a Burt that's
super ambitious and hates to lose.
There's going to be somebody that is successful that isn't successful today.
Yeah.
There's going to be the next RB Construction come up out of the woodworks, and do you know who's there? Treat everybody good. You don't know who they're going to become or what they're going to do in their lives either. So start to create those relationships now, and they last if it's real.
I agree.
I hate the saying that we use of like, well, that's just business, or that's just the
Don't
cost
take
of
it
doing
personal.
business, or don't take it personal. That's just business.
Yeah.
That is not.
That's not right.
Mountainland doesn't do that though.
Yeah.
I hate that, and how everybody does. They use that to justify
A negative behavior.
Yeah.
Yep.
treating someone how they shouldn't be treated.
Yep.
It's like it's relationship first here, and business and profit and whatever second. Which that's how it should be. The world would be a better place if we all operated like that.
Yeah, you're right. It would be.
Yeah.
You wish that you could get that everywhere.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. You good, Morg?
I'd be good.
All right. You good, Bert?
Yeah. Was that it? I thought we were just getting started.
That's it, bud.
Oh
Unless you want to say something else.
no. Thanks to Mountainland for the decades of relationship.
Decades more, man.
and
Let's keep going. You
decades
got
more.
kids that need to put shoes on the other kids' feet, so
Yep.
we'll take care of them.
Yep. What about a brag on Joey?
There's no need.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
no
really?
need.
No need
Oh,
whatsoever.
he brags on himself.
He does.
There was how many episodes before this, and
Is
he's
every-
been in
At
every
least
one of them. And
At least 50-something.
All
Yeah.
right, cool.
Spencer
No.
makes me feel special enough.
Yeah, this is like episode 63 or something.
there you go.
Wow.
4. Yeah.
The
come
mere
back
fact
from-
that I
Cool.
get to do this for a living is brag enough.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
and those that don't, like Bert's in the process of doing Eagle Mountain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, our relationship has matured to the point where now Bert's building buildings for us that we get to occupy as a company, and we get to share in that together, you know?
And he likes graffiti on his walls. So feel free to.
So you see that big building out in Eagle Mountain that's starting to stand up and looking beautiful. That's Bert and his efforts out there. Because again, it's like, well, maybe we could just build buildings. You know, you want to go build a steel building with Mountainland? Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
It's fun. That's the type of stuff you can do together when you trust each other. So
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It is awesome. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shorts. Thank you, Morg. Thank you, everybody out there. Enjoy the ride down the road, guys. See you later.